It's on days like this that if you called me crazy, I wouldn't be offended. Days like this frustrate the living hell out of me. I feel like I'm sticking my head through a brick wall. And even worse, I'm sticking my head to the same wall over and over again. Let me close my eyes for a second and try and explain myself to you, or try and make sense of these thoughts to myself. A lot of times when I just talk in these videos, I connect dots. I make sense of what's going on in my mind. So in recent times, hip flexor work has been the difference. I've tried many different hip flexor exercises, and it seems as though the more I do them, or the more I match up for hip flexor work with the volume that I'm doing in the squat, the better my hips feel, and the more I can tolerate in terms of squatting volume. Out of all the exercises that I've had for hip flexor work, marching or just simply standing straight and then just lifting one knee at a time up to a count of 100 has felt the best. That, and also with kind of weighted versions of that with a plate in your hand and kind of resting on your thigh. So I've had a lot of success with that. Last night I'm sitting and I'm thinking about the physiology involved with somebody doing a hip flexion and a hip extension. Why does marching feel good to me when I combine it with squatting? And what is exactly going on? Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, I'm losing freaking track of time as well now. I did a lot, I think it was yesterday, or the day before, I did a lot of volume on hip flexor work because I couldn't squat. I was fatigued, I didn't have it in me. I just felt off. So I did a lot of hip flexor work. In the last sort of day and a half up until now, I've been feeling DOMS in my glute med. This has made me think about what is actually going on with these hip flexor exercises, especially the ones that have you standing and doing the marching. What happens when you stand on one leg? That's the question that I started off with. Am I really getting the benefits of marching through hip flexor work, or is it really that I am merely standing on one leg for a prolonged period of time and engaging the glute med, and that's what's making my squats feel good? It's thoughts like these that just absolutely drive me insane when I'm doing a particular exercise and I think this is what's happening in this exercise. I have a connection, but then I get a thought. It starts with a thought and it challenges my belief of what is actually happening in this exercise, and then I start questioning everything. If in fact marching is training my glute medius and that's making me feel good in the squat, that changes what I'm doing here. So with that thing in my mind, I thought to myself, oh, I remember once upon a time, Ivan, when you did a lot of other single leg exercises and you had good results. Some of you guys might remember, other guys you might not remember. There was a one point in time where when I felt good with squatting, I was doing single leg exercise, but it wasn't marching, it was single leg calf raises. In recent days, I have felt incredible through my hips. So when I do my marching, I feel incredible. And I walk over to the bar, the first couple of sets, I'm feeling great in my hips because I've been working on my hips. I've been doing the hip flexor work, right? Or is it the glute medius work? Who the hell knows now? But every time I get the first, second, or third set, I feel stiff in my ankles because, well, the hip is warm, but the ankle isn't. I haven't been doing anything with the ankle. So then I kind of short-circuited those two ideas and I thought, well, back in the day, I used to do single leg calf raises and I would have warm ankles and warm hips through the fact that I'm balancing on one leg doing calf raises. So I'm doing a hip thing there just by simply standing on one leg, and I'm also doing a calf raise, so I'm doing the ankles. So today I came in here and I'm like, okay, let's do that. Let's not do any marching today. Let's do another single leg exercise and involve the calf. So I did that. Oh my God. Now, I am not drawing any conclusions here. This is pretty much Ivan playing and exercising his mind more so than the freaking body. Although I feel absolutely wrecked right now. I went in 5s and I got up to 180 kilos. I unracked 180 kilos as you see right now. And I literally felt like the earth underneath me was tremoring. I had absolutely no stability from knee down. In fact, when I was doing the 160, I felt my knee was going to blow out. Actually, both of them. That is not a pleasant feeling that I had at all. And the only thing I changed was I did calves. Now, what did calves do? So I would argue that the marching and the single leg calf raises are the same exercise. Let's just assume that. That's the same exercise for the hips. Let's just assume that it's not about the hip flex, it's about the glute med. The only difference here is that I'm training the calf. There are two muscles in the calves. There is the soleus and the gastrocnemius. In a bent knee position, the gastrocnemius is basically rendered almost useless. It doesn't have the leverage to act upon the leg when it's in a bent position. The soleus, however, is the main calf muscle, if you will, when your knee is bent. In that 90-degree angle, I felt like my kneecap was going to blow up. Now, the gastrocnemius does have some effects at the knee. It flexes the knee. The soleus doesn't. The soleus is purely a plantar flexor. So I couldn't do 180, dropped the weight to 140 because I couldn't stabilize the weight. I felt the weight felt so heavy on me because the calves were just shot. Went down to 140 and I did 3 sets of 10 with that, as you see here. This is where I feel crazy. This is also what makes me crazy about this journey. I have admittedly gone back and forth with the same damn ideas over and over and over again. Some of you guys actually accuse me of just regurgitating the same crap for the sake of views. Like I give a crap about that sort of crap. But if somebody doesn't know me, doesn't know my genuine approach to all of this, that's probably a fair criticism of me, that I'm just doing this for the sake of content and I don't really know what the hell I'm talking about. And I've run out of things to say, so I regurgitate the same old crap over and over again. This is why it's probably, from somebody that doesn't know me that well, it's probably an accurate accusation because it's the same old thing. However, when I was doing the calves back then, I was doing the calves purely because I thought, my hypothesis back then was, if I get the calf stronger, it will get longer and I will get better dorsiflexion. My belief back then was if I have better dorsiflexion, I will have better squatting, I'll be more upright. Therefore, I will remove the need for extensive force at the hip because some of that force will be translated to the knee and I'll look more like Jian Yun Lu. I would look more like Tian Tao and less like a power lifter. That was what I was thinking back in the day. So I did calf raises purely for the calves so I can get them big, strong, juicy, long. A strong muscle is a long muscle. This is something that I believe. That's the hypothesis back then. What I'm talking about right now is the fact. I have found something incredible with the hip flexor, the marching. I'm now questioning what is actually happening in that thing. Is it really the hip flexor? Because I woke up the other day, or yesterday, with a sore glute med, not sore hip flexors, from extensive marching or hip flexor work, which made me think, what's actually going on here? What is the glute medius? One of the primary effects of the glute medius. So the glute medius falls into a team of muscles which internally rotate the hip: glute med, glute min, and TFL. Those guys have these, it's hard to conceptualize, but they internally rotate the hip. If you sit here and you lift your knee up off the ground and you kick your heel out, you'll feel TFL, glute med, all that stuff kind of kick in. They are hip internal rotators. Also, the glute medius, stabilize the hip when you are in a walking phase. I think it's called in the transition phase in your normal walking gait. So when you're balancing on one foot essentially, what's actually controlling the pelvis so you have room to swing that foot off the ground through is on the other side, the other hip, the hip that's part of the leg which is on the ground, needs to contract, the glute medius needs to contract in order for the pelvis not to droop and you drag your foot on the ground, the one that's swinging. If your hips are drooping and you are dragging your feet, or you have to kick your leg around instead of in a straight line, that's called, forgive me if I get this wrong, it's called the Trendelenburg. Trendelenburg, I think that's how you say it. Trendelenburg gait. Basically means you have weak glutes, medius, and that's causing your hips to kind of droop as you're swinging the leg through. When you are exercising on one foot, this is where unilateral exercises are really good. This is where one-legged squats are really good. This is where just simply standing on one leg is really good. You engage the glute medius because you are basically just asking it to hold the pelvis, to balance the pelvis in a sort of horizontal plane and not let it droop towards the leg that's being lifted off the ground. This is what I'm thinking. Why the hell else would it be sore? So then I came in here today and I was like, okay, maybe the whole freaking hip flexor thing is not doing what I thought it was doing. Maybe I feel incredible when my glute medius is on board, when my glute medius is really worked out. And then I thought about all the previous times that I did unilateral leg work. I felt great with Bulgarian split squats for a little bit. I felt great with walking lunges for a little bit. I felt great with calf raises for a little bit. All of these unilateral leg exercises made me feel really good. For various different ideas. I thought it was the quad. I thought it was the this, that, the other. I thought many different things. But now, even marching is feeling good. So is there like a common denominator amongst all of these things? Yes, I'm going crazy. Yes, it's very, very hard for me to kind of work things out, and it hurts my freaking soul to move away from something that's working so well. Marching works. It absolutely does work. Today I came in, I did calf raises, I almost shat myself how difficult I found it to squat. So freaking difficult. Is that the calves? Is that the hips? I don't know. It's frustrating when I had thoughts like this because I can't work out what's going on straight off the bat. I've just gone through an exercise. I've gone through an experiment today, a mini little experiment. Drives me crazy. But this is this kind of stuff that's made me go 800 days. This discovery, this questioning of the status quo, questioning what I believe is going on. There is no doubt tomorrow I'm going to wake up, I'm going to feel completely immobile because I have done way too many sets of calf raises today. I did 8 sets of 20 calf raises off the squat stands. I'm going to be very, very sore tomorrow. I know it. I've hit it with a hammer straight day one. But I want to see what effect this has. Part of me and part of this whole journey is not just doing and getting results. I want to know why. I really want to know why. I want to circle that exact atom that is responsible for the effects. That's what's going on. And it's crazy, man. I literally feel like I'm nuts thinking about all these things, but this stuff makes me tick. When I have these surprising feedback mechanisms in the body, like the glute medius is sore from freaking doing marching. The glute medius is not a hip flexor. Last time I checked, I'm gonna go back to the anatomy books and I'm gonna be staring at those damn pictures all day long. I don't think glute medius, now I'm seeing here, I don't think it's a hip flexor. Hip flexors are TFL, iliopsoas, iliopsoas, right? Those rectus femoris, those should be sore. I'm feeling sore in my glute medius, which makes me think it is purely from balancing on one foot. Let's go another step further. Some of you guys have called this out. I have also realized this. My right foot likes to pronate at the bottom of the squat. What's happening there? What's happening there? The glute medius has a lot to do with how you walk, hip balance. This is why a lot of people put those hip circles, hip bands around the knees and forcing the knees out in the attempt to get the glute medius on board as well. The glute medius has a few functions. Like I said, it provides balance to the hip when you're walking. It is an abductor, abductor, so it kicks the leg out sideways, and it's a hip internal rotator. I'm going to go back to the books. I'm going to really kind of look into this. I have no problem doing marching. Don't get me wrong. I have no problem thinking that it's a hip flexor and continue to do the same things over and over again because that works. But I just want to test. I want to know, is it really the hip flexors or is it really the glute medius? Because every time I do hip flexor work, I seem to be on one damn leg. So what's going on here? What is going on? That's what I want to know. Crazy stuff, man. Absolutely crazy stuff. But hopefully all of that doesn't sound like too worrisome for my mental health. Like you guys know, I share everything that goes through my mind in terms of physiology and training. Everything that comes into my mind, I share it with you guys. And you guys can maybe throw some ideas back at me and it could inspire you to think about some other things. And maybe as a community, we can work out what's going on. 4 names to mention in this video. 4 names that have come onto the Patreon list amongst many, many, many other people to support me. These names are Joseph Garnham, Mehdi Yakubi, Jake Vrinde, Nikola Kraljevic. I want to thank each one of you lads for stepping up and supporting me a step further. A lot of you guys are active in the comments. A lot of you guys watch the videos all the time. So that in itself is plenty of support. I appreciate everyone that does that. But the fellas that have gone out of their way to do this, I feel like deserve an extra shout out. I want to thank each and one of you. Straight after this video, I'm going to go in the house and get an anatomy book and go on Google Images and just start picking apart what's actually happening on unilateral leg exercises. It's so damn interesting to me. Right now I'm sitting here and I'm feeling my glute med and it's puzzling me. All right, guys, that's enough crazy talk from me. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.